Well, good morning, BUS20 students. This is Mr.D. This is week 4, obviously, in our 16-week business mathematics course here at Norco College, spring 2026. And this week, you're going to be looking at chapter 8, which is markups and markdowns. Last week, you looked at getting trade and cash discounts. Again, many times wholesalers or manufacturers will sell you items at a lower price, and that's so that you can then mark them up and make a profit, right? That's the idea of business is you buy something for lower money, less money, you mark it up, and then the difference between what you spent, your cost, and what you sold it for is your profits or your revenue. And that's why we are allowed to, buy things at discount so we can mark them up and make money to let our business run and be successful. So this week you're going to be learning about how you mark things up, how you mark them down. Maybe you're going to put them on sale because you have an overabundance of them and you need to discount them or whatever it might be. So how do you do that? How do you figure out the percentage of markup? How do you figure out the amount of the markup? How do you figure out the original amount? Things like that. So you're going to be solving these problems using very similar formula that you've been using already in chapter 6 and chapter 7. It's going to carry over into chapter 8. And so you're going to be doing what's called the cost plus one formula, as well as utilizing that to solve all of these problems. And it's also the selling price. You can mark up based on cost. You can make up markup based on selling price. Just depends on the scenario and the context. So we'll be going over that in this chapter. So make sure you read it and you work through the study pages and watch the videos that I've produced on solving these kinds of problems. So that's what you're going to be looking at this week. So let's go ahead and take a look at those assignments here in Canvas. So here's our home screen in Canvas, and I'm going to scroll down. We're actually in module number 2 starting today. So last week you finished your first exam, and you also finished your first case study. And now we're moving into module number 2 starting this week. So you're going to have another case study. And at the end of this module, which is in 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to also have your second exam or your midterm exam. Fortunately, the way I've designed this class is your exams are only based on the content within that one module. So you don't have a cumulative exam at any point. We're covering material, you have an exam. We're covering material, you have an exam. So as you look at this week, once again, you need to read the Read Me First and the Help Sienna and mark those both as done before we'll open up the assignments that you need to be working on. You have a study page for chapter 8. In that study page is the PowerPoint slides as well as videos, YouTube videos, and most importantly, in videos by me working through the exact problems that you're going to be dealing with, exact type of problems. So make sure you watch those, read through the study page, consider doing some of the, reviewing the sections that I recommend in the textbook. There's also tips for solving word problems. There should be a formula sheet here. I'll make sure that gets uploaded or added, but there should be a formula sheet here for 8 and 9. It's going to be found, however, under the check-in assignment, but I want to make sure you have it for all of the assignments. So I usually put it right here. Did I do that last week? I didn't. It did, yeah. So I had one here for 6 and 7. So I'll make sure this one gets added right here so you have it. But as you move into the assignments, then you have a check-in for week number 4. This is set up the same way as they've all been. So you have a worksheet that you can download. You can work out the problems. And then when you go in to actually do the quote unquote quiz, which is really the homework assignment, you're actually going to have problems with drop-down menus. So you just select the answers that you got from the drop-down menus, and then that'll be how you submit it. You can also upload your work for a full score if you've got everything else correct. So there is a worksheet here, and it is working, and so here's the worksheet, here's the formula sheet. So the formula sheet will be used for 2 weeks, and we'll have it again next week. But right here's the worksheet. So you should be able to click that, view it, or download it, and that's what I would do to work out my problems along with the formula sheet below. And then when you work through all the problems, then you're going to want to come down here, and for you, it'll say start quiz. For me, it says preview because I'm the instructor, but if it'll say start quiz, and when you click that, it'll open up the problem and you can select the drop-down menu answers that you got to match what you got on your worksheet. So that's pretty much how you do the check-in assignment. And so I'm glad those are both working. We've had some issues with those, but for some reason they're working now. Let me know if you have any trouble accessing those documents, because we did have trouble in the 8-week class. They were using those same documents last week and they were not working. had to send it to them via email. So all right, then we have a case study number 2. So this is going to really be focused on what you're going to learn next week in chapter 9. You're welcome to start working ahead on that, but you're going to understand it better after you do next week. But you have 3 weeks to do it, or 2 weeks. No, you have 4 weeks to do it. So don't sweat it. You don't necessarily have to get started this week, but what you're basically doing is you're going to figure out how much Michael was paying in taxes for his paycheck before he was married, and then he got married to a woman who had 2 children, so now he has 4 dependents. So how much did his paycheck change, or how much taxes did they take out when he was single versus when he was married with 2 additional dependents? So that's what you'll be working out in that check-in assign or in that case study. And again, you have a few weeks to do it, so don't feel too much pressure this week, because again, the content is going to be what we're covering next week. And then you have a quiz on chapter 8. So work through the study page, in my opinion, do the check-in assignment, then do the quiz. The quiz questions are going to be what's going to be on the exam in many cases, so make sure you understand those. If you get the answers wrong on the fill-in ones, I will give you the answers and how to work it out on the fill-in ones, so that way you can be ready for when you take the exam later on. But that's pretty much it for week number 4. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out to me via my office hours. You can find when they are and where on the homepage as you select the office hours icon. It'll tell you where I'll be, and would love to meet with you there. We can also set up a Zoom session if you need to. So just reach out to me. There is a bookings link on that page, as well as in all my emails that I send you, that you should be able to click and set up a personal meeting with me that way, and we can go over some of these problems if you're having any trouble. So if not, have a great week, and I will be doing once again a video next week as we move into chapter 9 on payroll taxes, things like that. So have a great week.